All right, welcome back to another Unity and Playmaker tutorial. I'm revisiting now my superhero tutorials because I think I'm going to try putting this out as something playable for other people. I'm going to make a multiplayer. So I actually just got done watching my previous tutorials on YouTube because this has been like 4 to 6 months, maybe even longer since I touched these. So if you haven't seen those tutorials, go check them out. It's all on super movement. So we have super flight and we have like super speed, like a so I have two different player types, but I need to make these prefabs to be instantiated for multiplayer. So here I have my speedster player. And then if I go to my scenes, okay, so I think I found it here. My superpower scene, player in there. I'm just gonna bring it up into speedster one. And don't save. Call this my flying. So I've never done this before. I created these players separately. I have my speedster and I have my flying player. So what I could do is I could have different prefabs for all the different superhero types. But what if I eventually want to like mix and match some of them? So like if I add like attack abilities and stuff like that, I want to mix and match some of these components. I kind of need them all on a single player. So which one's more complicated? Here's my flying player. I have 3 FSMs. My speedster, I have 4. So I'm going to make my speedster, doesn't really matter, but that's going to be my base player. Also, it's got my movement on it. I didn't put movement on my. What I want to do is I want to basically clean this guy out. I'm just going to put, we call this flight. All right, because it's going to represent a power. I'm basically going to turn this into an empty game object, which really shouldn't take much. I think I'm done. All right, so this will be the power of flight. And now on my speedster player, I think what I will do, just to save myself time, is I'm going to Control D to copy that. And I'm just going to delete everything off it except for the FSMs. And let's reset the transforms. That, reset the transforms. That. So we're going to call this speedster. And I'm going to uncheck all those FSMs. There. And then the actual speedster player, I'm going to rename it player. But I'm going to remove, and I don't have any logic any deeper, right? Drop down. No logic on there. I have particle system. So there's my center IACre particle system, which, what is that? Okay, that's my flying particle system. And what's this one? My speedster's particle system. But why do I only have it on the left hand? Where's it at? So I only have it on the left hand for some reason. So I might need to go back and review that and make that on the right hand too, I imagine. All right, so I have my player. I have particle systems that I want, but now I'm just going to remove all of these FSMs. And so now I'm just going to make these guys a child of the player. And to clean up even more, I'm going to create an empty. And we're just going to call this powers. Then I can take my flight and my speedster, drop it into powers. All right, so now I got to clean up these FSM. So let's start with the speedster. Let's keep it in alphabetical order though. What I actually want to do is I need my player to be able to move. So I'm actually going to copy this component. No, you know what? Because I might want, we'll just leave that there for now. Let's start with the speedster and let's edit the FSMs. And so now we have a lot of missing logic because we don't know what's what. So we need to know what the owner, and there is no owner with a controller. So we need to have a variable for our player. So I'm just going to specify the game object, and I'm just going to create a new variable called player. To make this real easy on us to drop things in, I'm going to go to the player, and I'm going to set this as an input so it shows up in the vector pane. Here, movement, player. Okay, what else do we need? So we got that, we should be good. On jump, we need the player again. So, boom. That might be all we need to do to fix for the movements FSM. So now I can just take the player and drop it in there, and that FSM. So now let's take a look at this super movement toggle. All right, so we don't need to do anything in the first state. The second state, we need to, God knows what those things all are, but we need to get the forward direction of, this should be our center eye anchor. So I'm going to do this, create a variable. So what do we do? We're getting the forward direction of the center eye anchor, and then we're going to move the controller. This is going to be, all right. So I'm going to go into the variables, and I'm going to make my player an input, make my center eye anchor an input, and I can just come over here, take my player, drop it into the player slot, and then open up my OVR camera rig, go to my center eye anchor, and drop it in the anchor slot. And so now that FSM should be good to go. So let's go back to Speedster, and let's take a look at the super speed calculator left. This probably isn't going to have any issues because it's just calculating it based on the Oculus controllers. So we're probably going to be good there. And so my right hand should also be. All right, so now we need our flight. So our flight needs to have this movement FSM. So we're just going to copy the movement FSM, go back to our flight, and we're going to paste that as new. Get to top here. All right, I'm going to check and make sure it knows the player. It should. Click, boom, showing the hierarchy, it knows the player. All right, but I'm going to come in here to edit. And when moving, movement is looking all good. But remember, we don't always want this on. No reason it shouldn't be on to start, though. No, we want to keep it off because if we're doing multiplayer, we'll fix that later. But on super movement toggle flying, let's go in here, and here we have a lot of things we have. All right, so we want to, let's go in order, toggle, hover, check if fist, it knows all that, so flying with right. So now we want to get the forward direction of, this is going to be the right hand anchor. We'll just call this right hand anchor. Spell anchor right? I don't know. And then we're going to move the controller, which is the player. Game object, and we'll call this player. Same thing with the left-hand side. We need to make this the left-hand anchor. So left-hand anchor, and then controller move, specify game object, make this player. And double-fisted flying, this is going to activate the particle system. So double-fisted particle system. And then we're going to get the forward direction of the right hand. We're going to get the forward direction of the left hand. And we're going to move the player. Okay, and last but not least, able, flying. So controller move, we just need to set the player here. And there is one more thing that we need to do is, are you still upset? I don't know why you're still upset. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is whenever we are hovering, we want to disable movement FSM. So I'm going to move this to the top, and we're going to do this on the owner, and we're going to call the FSM, go to movement FSM. Disable it here, copy this, we'll wait for joystick toggle, paste actions before, and we can enable movement. Still don't know why the disable one is upset. for it to be. I'm sure once I hit play, it'll stop. All right, so I think we're good there. Oh, no, we're not good there. What's that? Go back to super movement. We need to know what our player is. We need to know what our left-hand anchor is. We need to know what our right-hand anchor is. And our particle system. What is that? All right, so I put them in as inputs. So now it's just as simple as going player is player. And then expand this. We have our right-hand anchor. We have our left anchor. And then we have our double-fisted particle system. I could probably rename. But, all right. Let's see if there's any issues with fist checker. Nope, shouldn't, because it's just using the Oculus controllers. And then flight rotation. It's going to fixes. All right, so that states good. This one is wanting to get rotation, and this is the right fist. This is going to be the right hand anchor. All right, and if we're going to bank right, we want to get rotation of that. It says controller rotation. What are we doing here? We're going to get rotation of, because we're going to do it again. That's what we're doing. We're getting the rotation, but we're still going to continue to get the rotation of the right-hand anchor. All right. And over here, still getting the rotation of the anchor. Good. Over here on the left, this is going to be the left-hand anchor. And let's go here. This is getting, why is that one getting, that must have been how I fixed it. Left-hand anchor. Anchor. All right, so that should be good. We're gonna go to variables, left-hand anchor, make it an input. I don't have to make these inputs, it just makes it a lot easier to add the variables. All right, so now I can come and alt-click to expand that all out, and right-hand anchor, and left-hand. Okay, so what we've done is we've taken our two different super movement types, our flight and our speedster, and we stripped the logic off of those two separate players, put all the logic on this one so I can instantiate this player in multiplayer, and depending on the player's attributes, I will activate these different pieces of logic. So that's just a short little tutorial on how you can take logic from other game objects and move them to a new one. I'm not sure if this is helpful for anybody, but the next thing we're going to do is we are going to set up logic for actually choosing which power we're going to do. So we have a lot of clever stuff we're going to do. We're going to set up the logic for how to actually switch between, which is really straightforward. I'm actually going to show you my plan right now is you hit a button and then on like near your hand, you'll get a world canvas that shows up with kind of like an arc that shows you your different choices. Because when this game comes out in alpha, I'm just gonna let people pick quickly just which movement type they want. And so they'll be able to pick with just their hand which movement type they want to do. And they can switch back and forth and run around and have a lot of fun. All right, so check out the Discord channel. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you have any suggestions on what else we can do to this superpower game to make it even more superpowered, don't forget to put comments down in chat so I know. Otherwise, chat with me in Discord.